Hello and welcome. Today I'm hoping to go over a few issues that I foresee of Bethesda's latest idea, shall we say. Though some people of course have considered it a rehash of an old idea. But anyway, we're on the topic of the Bethesda Creation Club. Now before I go into it, I just want to go over a few things. First of all, I'm not debating whether this is a return of free mods, whether the Creation Club content will count as mods that are being paid for or third-party developed DLC. Not the subject of this video. Second, note on terminology I'm going to be using. If I say DLC, I'm strictly referring to something developed in-house by Bethesda. Creation Club content, or Creation Club, is strictly Creation Club content. Mods is any free mods provided either through, say, the Steam Workshop, Bethesda's own mod system that was integrated with Fallout 4 and Skyrim Special Edition, and third-party sites such as Nexus Mods and ModsDB. Okay, that's all covered. So, first thing I want to go over, and the first big pitfall I see, mod compatibility with the stuff made through the Creation Club. Because as it stands, you've got things like Skyrim, Fallout, there are only a few pieces of DLC for them, and everything else is mods. As it is, if you're a mod creator, and you want to check compatibility with the DLC, it's not too expensive to have the DLC. The problem is, if we get into quantities anything remotely like the kind of mods available for Skyrim currently, for example, currently on the Steam Workshop alone, there are 28,648 mods for Skyrim. That's total, that's not dividing ones, separated by various DLC copies, for example, ones that require both Hearthfire and so on. The other one, Dawnguard, that was it. Ones that don't require any, ones that require all, ones that only have one or the other, etc. But yeah, total 28,648 mods. I'm sorry, but if you're even a tenth of that at 2,865, strictly speaking when I round correctly, and you're being charged for that, even if you're talking less than, say, $1 per mod, per Creation Club content, sorry, not mod, I'm getting my terminology mixed up, that's going to be prohibitively expensive for someone trying to develop free mods to have all that content. So checking the compatibility of mods against that kind of level of content is just not feasible. It just wouldn't be. At the same time, you have to wonder if Bethesda, now that they move to using an integrated mod system, not third party like Steam Workshop, are going to do that compatibility checking themselves. I somehow suspect they won't, knowing Bethesda's past history on such matters, but yeah, this is the first big pitfall I see. If you've got a high volume of paid for content from the Creators Club coming out, free mod development checking for compatibility is going to be a lot more difficult than now, because as it is, you just download the mod to check compatibility. Even then you can't do it all for the sheer volume, but you add a financial barrier into that, even with a much reduced volume, it's going to be a problem. So that's the first point Bethesda really need to clarify, how they're going to work around mod compatibility and so on. I mean, the only way I can see it is Bethesda did it themselves and basically had a copy of the game that has everything from the Creation Club, which, based on what they've said, they are going to make sure it's compatible with the base game, any DLC Bethesda have developed, and all other Creation Club content before release. And every time a mod is submitted to their system, load it in to see if it works, and then if it doesn't work, reject it with that reason why, send it back to the modder to fix. But again, the troubleshooting on that, determining which part of the Creation Club content and so on it's conflicting with, if you're looking at that kind of volume, is going to be insane. So I suspect they just won't bother doing the work. And then, of course, you've got third-party sites like Nexus and ModDB. If you're using mods off them, it's just well, hope it works. If it doesn't, we'll halt it to the developer, let him know what Creation Club content you've got, and he might be able to sort it. Yeah, I mean, I know other people have said, somewhat correctly, that mods are in Bethesda's interest. The problem is, I think they might be shooting themselves in the foot in continued mod development, because if they have a large quantity of this Creation Club content that's paid for, making mod compatibility with it is going to be a pain in the neck, and that's probably going to harm any future free mod development for the game. Right, next one. Again, this is tied into the first one, but it's sheer volume. I mean, Paradox, as many people know, has a somewhat record on the sheer volume of DLC they put out for their games. If you're coming close to that, buying the games is going to be somewhat expensive further down the line. Now people might say, well, it's a bit like mods. You're going to go buy the ones you actually want. You're not going to need to buy all of this Creation Club stuff. You'll probably just get the base DLC, if any, from Bethesda, and then you'll have to buy the Creation Club you want separately. So that will reduce the financial cost that comes from sheer volume. But then, of course, you've got the re-releases and the special edition and so on. For example, Skyrim Special Edition can't use mods from Skyrim without slight modifications being made to those mods. So, for example, I know a lot of modders have re-released their mod with slight modifications to allow it to work for Special Edition. How's that going to work with Creation Club is the next main point, because if Creation Club content has to be redone to go and match up with things like Special Editions, Game of the Year editions, Complete Editions, etc., or new releases made compatible for newer operating systems, possibly given the lifespan of these games at this point, do you have to rebuy it? Do you have to buy the new version to go with that edition? Does it unlock for all versions of the game if you bought it for one? I mean, they've not mentioned any of this. I don't even know if they thought about it, because Bethesda have done their standard, we're going to drip feed you information just to test the waters in advance, and we're not going to just plan it all out and release it all to you and tell you what's going on at once, annoyingly. So, of course, I'm seeing here theory crafting the entire thing at the moment. But yeah, for example, if I were, hypothetically speaking, to buy Creation Club content for Elder Scrolls 6, whatever that tends to be, and then a few years down the line, they do a special edition with updated graphics, updated to run on modern operating systems, etc., do I need to rebuy all my Creation Club content? Is it unlocked? I mean, again, this could potentially seriously harm their current business model of doing re-releases and special editions of Game of the Year editions and so on, because they are adding so much extra costs through the Creation Club for people to have the game they want. I mean, again, this is something Bethesda do need to clarify. I mean, I can make suggestions, as I did, about really you have to unlock it for everything if you've got it for one copy or another. Also, again, we don't know what the contract terms for development of Creation Club content is. We don't know if they'll make the contract say, oh, by the way, you're supposed to develop this, you have to come back and redevelop it for any re-releases of this game we do, or whether they'll do that in-house. So it could be that you have Creation Club content you pay for, force you to sell the older version of the game, because Bethesda have decided they're not going to bother paying a third party or in-house to get an updated version to run with a re-release. Yeah. Point 2, again, fairly short video, but I'm just going with foreseeable pitfalls and what the problem is and what Bethesda need to bloody explain to everyone. Right, last one, and this is probably the biggest headache that could come up from it. What happens when there's overlap between mods and Creation Club content? What I mean is, based on what they say, their development cycle is you submit your idea, then you start development on it. Okay, what happens if someone was already developing a free mod that does basically the same thing, and they release that while the Creation Club thing is in development? First, they've already signed a contract to pay for that. They probably still have to pay for it and still take it to release. But if it's too overlapping with the mod, why would anyone buy it? And does this mean we're going to see Bethesda start going around issuing copyright notices and cease and desist and so on to mod developers if they're making anything that might take sales away from their Creation Club content? And this is where the danger of this entire pro system, I think, is. Not about the whole paid mods issue. That's a bit of a red herring in my opinion on this at the moment. No, the issue is what happens when you get overlaps between mods and Creation Club content, because Bethesda need to clarify that one, because if they're going to go around and fucking slap copyright takedown notices on people who've developed free mods because while they did that someone was being paid to develop something with high amounts of overlap or doing the same thing by Bethesda, that's going to be a problem. And the only way around this I can see is if when Bethesda approve a project, they tell everyone what the project is, so that modders know, okay, don't develop this, it's being done as a paid for. Of course, that's the other problem. What if the modder's already most of the way through development when that happens? If you spent potentially a year working on this mod to add survival mechanics to, say, Skyrim, things like temperature, food, etc., or Fallout, you get the idea, and then Bethesda, a month away from your release, announce, yeah, we've just commissioned someone to do this, do you just scrap a year's worth of work, or do you release it and risk Bethesda coming along saying, yeah, no, you're not allowed to do that, take it down? And of course there is the other issue. What if people have already got and installed this mod? Is Bethesda going to say, no, you have to take it off? Are they going to say, we're not allowing you to use that with our software? I mean, there's legal issues there because, for example, as it stands under EU law currently, you own the copy of the software you use, and you can do what you like with it as long as you're not accessing an online service. And of course the way around that is they make a permanent online connection required. you can't use the game without accessing their online service, which means they get to tell you what to do with your copy of the software and don't let you run it locally. Which I think, given past history, is not something anyone wants to bloody see, but we're talking about a large corporation with its profits as its first concern. And if they can see free mods as being a competition to content they've paid for development of, I suspect they're not going to be very bloody happy with people releasing free versions of it. I suspect there are probably people who will see Creation Club content and will independently, I say that in air quotes, develop content that does almost the identical thing and release it for free, effectively as a protest against the whole system. Because we've seen the reaction to it so far, and there's a lot of people not fucking happy. Yeah, so that's a quick, short summary video on the potential pitfalls that come with the Creation Club and what Bethesda really need to do about it. Hopefully this adds something to the wider conversation. Au revoir.